Just going to give a quick overview of how Cover approaches model quality within our model development process. This encompasses one of the topics we get asked about quite a lot, which is model validation, but also can't talk about validation without introducing some of the testing and some of the controls we put in place, which are also quite important in developing a quality model that represents a realistic system. A model is a simplification of what is quite a complex behavioral system in cyber risk. We split the problem into three components. Firstly, the inputs and data. So this is about calibrating the individual parameters using the right data, the right expert judgment, and overall, how do we get comfortable that this parameter set reflects reality? And this could be anything from the number of data records that we assume for a company. It could be the duration of events that impact a business, or maybe the cost per record of a data breach, or various cost elements within a data breach. We put a series of controls around what we do and how we approach the problem. This is about setting out a calibration standard and the way that we operate and execute the calibration. We put in place peer reviews and challenge process to make sure that a parameter can be widely accepted by the team. And we put in a lot of change control and audit management to make sure that we know what's changed, when it changed, and who did the change and why. And then when a parameter is changed, we do a lot of validation testing to make sure that we can prove that even after the calibration has been carried out, we can test that back against the original data and prove that the parameters themselves are quite reasonable. The second pillar of this is model calculations. This is about the actual mathematics and the way the model itself operates almost mechanically. And we need to make sure that the methods and techniques that we use in the model are appropriate for use, represent the right behavior, and are implemented without any error. We put in similar controls where we've got model design specifications that are outlined and reviewed. We do a lot of change control management, again, to know what changed and why. Obviously, this is quite a modern software product, so we've got a lot of coding standards and controls in place to make sure that the calculation execution is correct as well. We also put in place some validation testing at this stage as well to make sure that we've got unit integrity testing to calculate the integrity of the code. We do a lot of regression tests against prior results that we've run and test sets so we can make sure we understand both the analysis of change, what's changed, why, and at what point in the model. With both of these pillars together, we know what's changed, why, and when. We can then focus on the output of the results, which is the sort of top-down validation. And the idea behind this is to make sure that the model as a whole, which encompasses the parameters and the calculations, work to create a representation of reality, which we can pin back against real historic events and actually prove that our model itself represents what's going on in the wild and actual events that companies are experiencing every day. This is a process of components like backtesting and validation, comparing against industry reports, and our in-house research about what's going on with the threat intelligence. What this looks like in practice is a series of validation tests where we set some of them are quantitative, some of them are qualitative, and we'll do a series of tests against maybe sample populations to see if we can compare against actual data. We set bounds and we look for pass-fail criteria and compare against industry reports. We know what passes. Some of the tests might be out of bounds, but we'll be able to explain why there's a difference in basis between different components. So there's quite a robust process for challenging the model and explaining what's going on. Overall, we've got a lot of risk controls in place. We do a lot of testing in the background, and there's a lot of validation that goes on. And this results in an overall high quality model that we can evidence and prove pins against reality.